They say that before history was written, before the rise of kings and empires, there existed a time of pure awakening, a time when the earth itself glowed with the light of forgotten wisdom. In that primordial age, humanity was not yet divided by language, nation, or creed. Instead, there was a single, unbroken culture, a civilization so advanced in spirit and science that every sunrise was a hymn to creation. Deep within the annals of myth, this culture is remembered only as the Children of the Dawn. Their legacy was not recorded in stone or clay, but in the very fabric of the earth and sky, a luminous code woven into the heart of nature. They were the first to understand the secrets of consciousness and the rhythmic pulse of energy, the very forces that shape reality. Their art, their music, and their architecture were expressions of a cosmic order, an order so sublime it seemed as if the heavens themselves had lent a hand. But then, as if swallowed by time, the memory of these people began to fade. Civilizations rose and fell, wars were waged, and with each passing millennia, the once brilliant light of the children dimmed to embers. Yet, scattered through myth and legend, remain echoes of that golden age. Cryptic symbols etched on ancient tablets, mysterious alignments of megaliths, and whispered voices in secluded temples. Could it be that the secret knowledge of the children still lingers, waiting, hidden in plain sight? On a solitary night beneath a velvet sky pierced by countless stars, an ancient energy stirred in the silent winds of the east. It whispered of a time when humanity was whole and the mysteries of the cosmos were laid bare. It was the call of destiny for those rare souls who still dared to remember. Long before the great rivers carved the lands of Mesopotamia or the Nile nurtured the pharaohs, there was a time when the earth was young, a time when humanity was not bound by the limits of language or time. In this remote age, the world was illuminated by a mystical light, both literal and metaphorical, that awakened in every heart a deep hunger for knowledge. Legends recount that in a lush valley cradled by majestic mountains, the children of the dawn built their first settlement. They called it Amarantha, meaning eternal bloom. This was not a mere village. It was a sanctuary of wisdom, where the natural and the supernatural converged. Here, every being, from the smallest insect to the towering trees, vibrated with life and purpose. The inhabitants of Amarantha possessed a profound understanding of the energetic threads that crisscross the world. They learned to read the dance of the stars and to mirror that cosmic choreography in their art and architecture. Their temples were designed with perfect mathematical precision, each angle, each proportion, resonating with the harmonic frequencies of the universe. It was said that to step inside one of these sacred halls was to experience a transcendent communion with the divine. In Amarantha, knowledge was not hoarded or hidden away. It was shared freely. Children learned the language of nature before they could speak, and the elders sang the secrets of the cosmos in lullabies under the light of the full moon. The community thrived, bonded by a deep reverence for life and an unwavering commitment to unity and truth. Yet, as with all things radiant, there soon arose a shadow, whispered rumors of a fragmentation within their luminous order. Some among the children began to seek power, to hoard the sacred knowledge for themselves. There were murmurs that the balance had been disrupted, that the harmonic convergence which once united them was now splintering into dissonance. And so, as the first fissures opened in their society, a choice was set before every soul: to remain true to the path of unity and love, or to surrender to the seduction of separation and control. The sages of Amarantha foresaw that if this division were allowed to widen, the very fabric of reality might unravel. In secret conclaves held under star-laden skies, they began to craft a contingency, a plan to preserve the true light of the children of the dawn. They decreed that the sacred wisdom must be hidden away in a place where it could be protected from those who would manipulate it for selfish ends. Thus, the Library of the Dawn was born, a repository of all that was pure and untainted, encoded in symbols, songs, and crystal archives. As time passed, many of the children left Amarantha, scattering to the winds of destiny. Some founded new settlements in distant lands, while others merged with emerging cultures, sowing seeds of ancient wisdom that would later bloom as legends. Yet, the Library of the Dawn was hidden away, concealed in a labyrinth of sacred sites across the globe. Only those with hearts attuned to the celestial melody would ever find its keys. As centuries turned, the memory of the Children of the Dawn became fragmented, scattered like stardust on the pages of forgotten lore. In its place arose tales of gods descending from the heavens, bestowing civilizations with mysterious gifts. But what if these gods were not divine in the conventional sense? What if they were the very architects of light, the celestial mentors who had once guided the children? In remote caverns of the ancient Near East, intricate bas-reliefs depicted beings with radiant countenances and flowing robes of luminous energy. They were depicted not as rulers but as teachers, bestowing geometric secrets, advanced technologies, and methods of spiritual healing that could transform the soul. Such images were found in the ruins of forgotten cities, in inscriptions on megaliths, and even in the delicate carvings inside remote cave sanctuaries. Scholars and mystics over the millennia interpreted these representations in myriad ways. Some believed these beings were alien visitors, others saw them as manifestations of the gods within. But a newer perspective began to emerge, one that recognized these figures as the arcane mentors of the Children of the Dawn. They had come to Earth to illuminate the path of creation, to catalyze a leap in consciousness. Their arrival marked the beginning of a transformative era, a time when humanity first tasted the nectar of cosmic truth. According to recovered texts during a celestial alignment of rare occurrence, the architects appeared at the portal of Amarantha. Bathed in hues of shimmering gold and celestial blue, they descended from the firmament in vessels of light, gentle as a summer breeze. Their presence transformed the landscape, and for a few sacred days, the valley resonated with an energy so pure that even the stones seemed to sing. The architects communed with the elders in a language of symbols and energy, transmitting visions and guiding principles. They spoke of a future where humanity would grow into an interstellar community of light, where the wisdom of the dawn would be rekindled in every heart. Yet they also warned, for the light to prosper, purity of intention was paramount. If the yearning for power and conquest prevailed, the celestial spark would be extinguished forever. When the architects ascended back into the tapestry of the cosmos, they left behind relics of unfathomable technology, crystal obelisks, shimmering discs, and fragments of what appeared to be star maps. These treasures were not meant for domination. They were teaching tools, keys to unlocking the hidden realms of consciousness. And in the Library of the Dawn, detailed accounts of their lessons were encoded in cryptic verses that have puzzled scholars for millennia. As time marched on, the transformative message of the architects faded from public memory, buried under the weight of later mythologies and the rise of dogmatic religions. Yet, in secluded monasteries and in the heart of long-forgotten ruins, the echo of their presence remained, a silent call to those with the courage to remember. In the wake of the architect's departure, the Children of the Dawn continued their pursuit of truth amidst internal strife and external threats. While some succumbed to the temptations of power, a valiant few remained steadfast, dedicated to preserving the luminous knowledge of their forebears. They became the custodians of light, wandering sages who traversed ancient lands, from the fertile crescent of Mesopotamia to the mysteries of the Indus Valley, always in search of the lost keys to their ancestral legacy. These custodians, often called seers or oracles, embarked on perilous journeys through realms both physical and metaphysical. Their quests were fraught with symbolic trials, labyrinths of shifting sands that mirrored the inner maze of the psyche, mountains whose peaks touched the heavens, and rivers that flowed not just with water, but with the memories of time. For them, each step was a meditation, every challenge a test of their inner resolve. One such seer, known only as Astria, emerged as a legendary figure among the scattered remnants of the dawn. Born under a rare cosmic conjunction, Astria was said to have been touched by the divine luminescence of the architects at birth. As a child, she dreamed in vivid colors and heard voices singing in an unknown language. Recognizing the significance of these early signs, her elders nurtured her gifts, teaching her the ancient rites of chambering into the heart of Earth. Astria's pilgrimage took her to the hallowed sites of antiquity, the pyramids of Giza, the sacred groves of Delphi, and the mist-shrouded temples of Angkor. In every place she collected fragments of lost lore, riddles inscribed on weathered stone, melodies captured in the wind, and mystical recipes for healing the soul. These fragments, she believed, were parts of a greater whole, the grand goddess of the dawn. In secret gatherings under starry skies, Astria shared her visions with like-minded kindred spirits. Together, they decoded messages embedded in the natural world. They realized that nature itself was a vast text of symbols, from the spiral of a snail's shell to the branching of ancient trees. Every form was a testament to a cosmic language written by the architects themselves. Their studies revealed that these symbols formed a sacred geometry, a matrix of life that underpinned both the microcosm of the human spirit and the macrocosm of the universe. But as the custodians gathered wisdom, a sinister force stirred in the shadows. The promise of forgotten power had not gone unnoticed by those who sought to reshape the world for their own ends. Secret orders arose, men and women who would stop at nothing to harness the ancient codes for control rather than enlightenment. Clashes erupted in hidden sanctuaries and clandestine gatherings, and the once unified legacy of the dawn began to fragment further. Even as conflict intensified, Astria pressed onward. Her determination to reassemble the grand goddess became not only a personal quest, but a symbol of hope for all who yearned for a return to unity and truth. Through trials by fire, visions of transcendent beauty, and heart-wrenching losses, she learned that the path to true awakening was as perilous as it was transformative. Every revelation came with a price, every secret uncovered, revealing both wondrous promise and daunting responsibility. The children of the dawn were not only sages and architects of light, but also scientists of the soul. Their mastery extended beyond physical tools. It encompassed the very essence of consciousness. In their golden age, they had discovered technologies that operated not through wires or fuel, but through frequencies, intention, and awareness. Central to their system was the etheric grid, a network of energy lines that crisscrossed the planet, later known in fragments as ley lines or dragon veins. By building structures such as temples, crystalline towers, and stone circles at precise nodal intersections, they tapped into the Earth's energetic blueprint, aligning humanity's consciousness with the rhythms of the cosmos. These structures weren't just symbolic, they were conscious machines, capable of amplifying thought, healing the body, or even opening gateways to interdimensional realms. In sacred chambers beneath the temples of Amarantha, the seers had once used singing crystals to transmute fear into love, disease into harmony. These were the soul sciences, a lost branch of knowledge that fused physics, metaphysics, and sacred intent. One of the greatest inventions was known only as the Solarian Disk, a shimmering metallic orb inscribed with glyphs that pulsed with soft light. According to Astraea's recovered texts, it could project holographic knowledge, harmonize environments, and even levitate through magnetic resonance. This disk, and others like it, were not mere relics. They were alive, responding to emotional coherence and spiritual alignment. But such power, if misused, could disrupt the balance between dimensions. And it was. A splinter faction from among the children, seduced by control, attempted to weaponize the soul sciences. They created artificial constructs, beings of synthetic spirit and cloned flesh, devoid of natural soul resonance. Their goal? To create a race of servants immune to suffering, unburdened by choice. What they created instead were the Nephilim drones, giants in stature but empty within. These artificial beings were manipulated to act as enforcers, and their emergence marked the first age of shadow in the history of the Dawn. These drones, lacking true connection to source, disrupted the harmony of the grid, corrupting the energy systems across the land. As the drones began to dominate the sacred cities, many of the children fled underground, taking with them the last surviving discs and sacred codices. They sealed the entrances with frequency locks, barriers only attuned to the heart-mind could bypass. It was the last act of hope before the storm. Astrea, one of the last custodians still wandering freely, chronicled these events in her crystalline tablets, buried deep within a chamber beneath what we now call the Himalayas. Her words were clear. The light that guides the soul is being inverted. If this war is not of swords but of songs, we must sing louder. The war between the light bearers and the shadow wielders did not last a single generation. It unfolded slowly, subtly, through sabotage of the Earth's energetic systems and manipulation of the higher fields of consciousness. But when the end came, it arrived as a cataclysm of mythic scale. Legends across the globe speak of it: the deluge, the fire from the sky, the night the stars fell. But few remember that it was not a single event. It was a cascade of disasters, both man-made and cosmic, triggered by the misuse of the soul sciences and amplified by celestial alignments that stressed the Earth's magnetic field beyond repair. Massive crustal shifts fractured the continents, oceans surged over lands, volcanic towers once thought dormant exploded with rage, the sky turned crimson, and the stars dimmed. Amarantha, the city of eternal bloom, was swallowed by the earth in a single night, its crystalline towers silenced beneath tons of ash and ocean. The etheric grid collapsed. The temples that once resonated with divine energy became hollow tombs. The Nephilim drones, having lost their handlers in the chaos, either self-destructed or wandered into oblivion. It was the end of the first civilization. But not all was lost. Some among the children had heeded the prophecies. They journeyed deep into the earth, into natural caverns and vast crystalline cities far beneath the crust, protected from the surface destruction. These subterranean sanctuaries, called Shalara, became the womb for a new seed of wisdom. In Shalara, the sacred sciences were preserved. Astrea, among others, survived the collapse and continued her mission, albeit in hiding. Other survivors sailed to distant lands, bearing nothing but memory and myth. In the Andes, they whispered the songs of the condor. In Kemet, now Egypt, they erected new temples atop the energetic bones of the old world. In the Americas, they carved messages into mountains. In India, they encoded their knowledge into mantras, mudras, and the sacred geometry of yantras. They taught what they could, but always partially, always concealed, for fear that the mistakes of the past would be repeated. Astrea's final entry, etched into a transparent slab of starlight crystal, reads, "We are not the end. We are the echo. Let this be the warning and the promise. One day the children will remember again. And when they do, the grid will sing once more. In the centuries that followed the fall, the Children of the Dawn vanished into legend. They became gods, demigods, or spirits of the underworld, depending on the culture. But those who survived, those who still remembered, formed the Sacred Survivors, hidden lineages tasked with one purpose: to protect the fragments of the Codice until the time of awakening returned. They worked in secret. A brotherhood of light in the caves of Cappadocia, a matriarchal order in the jungles of Yucatan, a hidden sect among the Dogon of Mali, and most secretly a lineage of dreamwalkers in the Himalayas who held within them the songs that reactivated the discs. Across time, their identities blurred. They were known as Tuatha De Danann in Ireland, the Nagas in the east, the keepers of the inner flame among the Siberians, and the morning star people among the Hopi. Each carried part of the Codice, not in books, but in rituals, sacred dance, chant, architecture, and genetic memory. These elements were scattered intentionally, encoded into diverse cultures, to prevent any single entity from seizing the whole. The Sacred Survivors believed that one day, during a great turning, humanity would be tested again, and if the frequency of the Earth could be raised enough, the ancient grid would reactivate, the discs would hum, the gates to Shalara would open, and the Children of the Dawn would rise again, not in bloodline but in consciousness. And so they waited, quietly, patiently, watching as Rome rose and fell, as science replaced mysticism, as religion twisted truth into hierarchy. In every epoch, a few souls would awaken, a mystic, a poet, a scientist with visions not of this world. These were the echoes, unknowing descendants of the children, receiving fragments through dreams, intuition, and near-death experiences. They often struggled, alienated from their peers, but their contributions always advanced humanity one step closer to the memory. It is said that Leonardo da Vinci held a Solarian fragment in his hands, that the architects of Angkor Wat found blueprints buried in stone, that Nikola Tesla received visions from Shalara in dream states. The memory could not be erased, only buried. And now the stars are aligning once more. The Earth's frequency is rising. The prophecy is stirring. The Codice is beginning to resonate. The old world is not entirely gone. Its memory lingers in stone and story, in ruins that defy explanation and symbols that outlive their speakers. It pulses beneath our feet and hums quietly in the forgotten corners of the earth, awaiting rediscovery. Consider the enigma of Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, 12,000 years old, with precision carvings and astronomical alignment that predate recorded history. Who built it? And why was it deliberately buried? Or the Puma Punku stones in Bolivia, massive blocks carved with laser-like accuracy and complex interlocking features. Not even modern engineers can explain how they were moved or shaped. Across the globe, from Baalbek in Lebanon to the underwater ruins of Yonaguni in Japan, there are fingerprints that don't match the hand of any known culture. They are not primitive, they are echoes, remnants of a civilization that mastered vibration, geometry, and frequency. Even more revealing are the similarities in sacred myths, flood legends, sky gods, beings of light who taught agriculture, architecture, and the stars. These stories aren't isolated. They form a pattern, one that overlays cultures separated by oceans and millennia. In Egypt, the Djed pillar symbolizes stability, often linked to Osiris, perhaps a stylized energy column. In Tibet, the Doya symbolizes indestructible force. In Mesoamerica, Quetzalcoatl descends from the stars and promises to return. All of them hint at a lost age when gods walked among men, not as deities but as custodians of forgotten wisdom. Some modern researchers, labeled fringe by mainstream academia, have spent lifetimes chasing these clues. They talk of harmonic temples, of a global grid, and of an encoded frequency that connects sacred sites. Their work is slowly merging with new scientific paradigms: quantum entanglement, cymatics, zero-point energy, all echoing the soul sciences of the children of the dawn. And then there are the dreams. Ordinary people waking with visions of circular cities, floating platforms, or songs that light up crystal walls. Are these fantasies, or are they fragments of genetic memory, the residue of a forgotten past bleeding into the present? Perhaps most telling is the shift in human consciousness itself. More and more people report spontaneous spiritual awakenings, synchronicities, and an inner pull toward meaning beyond the material. The planet is facing crisis, yes, but also renewal. It is the pressure of transformation. The same pattern that preceded the rise of Amarantha is repeating now. The awakening has begun. There is a prophecy, not found in one place, but scattered across cultures, like shards of a mirror waiting to be pieced together. In Sanskrit texts, it is said that after the Kali Yuga, an age of darkness, there will rise a Satya Yuga, an age of truth, when forgotten wisdom returns. The Hopi speak of the fifth world emerging after a time of great purification. The Maya calendar hints not at apocalypse, but at a cycle reset when time itself shifts gears. In the secret scrolls of Astria, now transcribed by hidden hands, there is an ancient passage. When the stars realign and the earth sings once more, the children shall return, not in form, but in fire. In the hearts of the awakening, the chorus shall ignite, the grid shall awaken, and the veil shall fall. This is the Codis prophecy, the final chapter of the first civilization. It foretells not the return of a race or empire, but of consciousness itself, a reemergence of what the children once embodied: unity with source, harmony with nature, mastery of inner and outer realms. The reactivation of the etheric grid is central. It's not just a planetary energy field. It is a memory lattice, an archive encoded in frequency. As human beings elevate their emotional coherence through compassion, joy, and love, they become tuning forks that reawaken the grid. Already, evidence mounts, magnetic anomalies increasing, ancient sites waking up, and sensitive individuals hearing songs in the stones. Scientists at the cutting edge of resonance theory are beginning to confirm what mystics have always known. Emotion affects matter. Consciousness is the architect of reality, and when enough human hearts beat in resonance, the grid will sing again. The Solarian disks, long dormant, are designed to activate at a planetary threshold. When this occurs, the archives of the Children of the Dawn, held in light, geometry, and harmonic code, will become accessible again. It won't be a return of gods, it will be a remembering of who we truly are. The Children of the Dawn never disappeared. They became us. As the first rays of a new dawn stretch across the earth, something stirs, not in the sky, but in the soul of humanity. We live in an age of contradiction. Never before has there been such disconnection, yet such yearning. Never has information been so vast and wisdom so rare. And yet, quietly, a revolution of spirit grows. You feel it. That pulse in your chest when truth whispers, that shiver when you see sacred geometry or walk upon ancient stone, that ache when you hear of lost civilizations, as if you knew them, as if you were one of them. This is not imagination, it is resonance. The Children of the Dawn left behind seeds, not monuments, seeds of light embedded in DNA, sound, and story. These seeds are awakening now, inside dreamers, artists, scientists, wanderers, and seekers like you. They call us to remember, to create not with fear, but with wonder, to build not in stone, but in spirit, to become not followers of old gods, but guardians of the next age. So what happens now? We stand at the threshold. One world is collapsing, another is waiting to be born. And in the silence between them, the codis hums, waiting for those who can hear. This is your invitation to listen, to remember, to awaken. Because you are not just a witness to history, you are a continuation of it. And perhaps, just perhaps, you are one of the children of the dawn, returning home at last,